But I feel like I've learned something in hindsight, and
Here we go.
my issue with this is, you get everybody and their brother to come, and sometimes they're not really a fan of your specific genre of music. So then you get a place that is full, which is awesome, but by the end of the night or by the time you get on, Buddy's friend is yawning in the back, and it's like the general energy of the show isn't good because you don't have the people there that should be there.
Yeah,
it's just
it's the wrong people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say you want to really promote the show, but make sure you bring out the right people. Don't just fill it up just for your own sense of ego.
That's a great way of putting it. Don't fill up a place with people that aren't going to feel the same way about your music as you do.
Exactly.
That's it.
And then I guess that there's not really much you can say.
No, that's a really good starting point, because the second bands book a spot and okay, this show is a go, the first thing you do is let's fill the place up.
Yeah.
That's where you start, because you need a fan base, right, Dragon?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, you want to sell seats, right?
Yeah.
But I agree with what you're saying, right? Like,
it's building that energy. You want that energy.
I imagine it's tough, right? It's a tough thing to learn and get into because, yeah, you're almost desperate in a way to get your name out there and fill as many seats as possible because you have something to prove in a way, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a really good thing to mention. Like, hey, like, also be careful who you're bringing into your circle because it might do more harm than good at the end of the day.
Fill it up with a bunch of people that are just hating every moment, and they feel like they're obligated because their brother asked them to go, or every single person's on their phone, and no one's engaged in the show.
This has me asking you a question now, as a guy who's been through this. Would you rather have a full packed house sold out with no energy, or half the crowd full energy?
I would say back in the day, because egos and everything, it felt really cool. You could be like, yeah, we had a sold out show, and it feels cool. Nowadays, I would say I'd rather just have the quality over quantity.
Well, it's just because it doesn't just affect their experience at the show. It affects your experience as the person putting the music out there. If you're not feeling this crowd, living off of every single note you're playing, you're not going to go all in for them.
Oh, your energy just drops,
right?
Because now you're just on kind of, I don't know, damage control mode, where you're like, they're not into it. But
what do I do? What do I do?
We got 40 minutes left of this. This goes on for 40 minutes.
That's how we start this show every time, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And that's why only my grandma watches my podcast.
Oh, that's awesome. So there's definitely something there.
And then one thing that really comes to mind is, say you're a touring band, and the person putting on the show or a local band says, hey, I hooked up this media thing, could you do it or whatever? Do the radio spot, do the interview with the Star Phoenix or whatever, because I remember right after Anvil, the story of Anvil, it kind of brought them
made a comeback
out of obscurity,
yep.
And they were almost pretty big because there was this movie and people knew them about kind of being lovable losers or whatever. And
was it? It's not a mockumentary, right? Like,
no,
this was a real documentary about the band.
But it kind of shows them, working their normal jobs, like Lips is doing Meals on Wheels and stuff.
The real stuff that happened.
Or, you get all pumped up and you're practicing, and they've got that, childhood wonder, like most musicians or whatever. But then you can see the nerves when they go to the show and they're like, oh, I hope people are there, and they show up and no one's there. Or, it's just, either way, that really bumped up the intrigue for Anvil, and they were coming through Saskatoon, and Untimely Demise was on the bill. And at the time, Star Phoenix was still big. I don't know if it's even a thing anymore.
Online. It is online.
But yeah, it was that helped a lot of our shows back in the day, and we had hooked up with the entertainment editor, a story for Anvil, and they're like, oh, this is great. And I think it was even going to possibly be front page, or it was going to be a big or on the front page of the Arts. And yeah, their Connect didn't even get back to it, and that show wasn't that well attended. And it's kind of that's kind of your fault, because I think you could have got a lot of the people on the periphery showing up to that show because they were just excited about, oh, I saw this, band, or saw that movie.
I read about that in the paper. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're interested. And that's a great point too. Everything goes both ways, right? Like if someone reaches out to you, says, here's an opportunity, exactly what you're saying, take it.
Do it.
Use it.
The whole point is to just get attention drawn to whatever, if it's a band or your podcast or whatever. You just want people paying attention to it. I know when we would do the Hometown Rocks and we would do things with you.
So good.
And there was one time at the merch table for Raven, where this couple came and they're like, oh, are you the singer? I was like, no, my wife is. And she's like, oh. They're like, oh, we heard you guys on Rock 102, and they, never heard of us before, but they came to the show, and that's an example where those are two people that would never have, come if we didn't do that promotion.
If I didn't love you guys so damn much that I put everything on the line just to get you on the damn air, because you deserve to be on there more than most people, and nobody knows that, right?
Partially responsible.
No, God, no, dude. It's fantastic. It's better than ever there. Everything is great. There's not a single bit of any ill will. We did as hard as we could, and now Ugly Kid Joel's taking the reins, and he's turning this massive thing. He's at every show now. Yeah. Hometown Rock is just going crazy. It's awesome great to see. And I feel good seeing that because we sort of started that, and now it's finally accepted, and now it's growing at a huge spot. By the way, speaking of network, Ryan's in the house, so I am supposed to do this. If you want to grow with us, if you want to have fun, you want to be a part of what's going on, just send us an email at contact@dufferinave.com. That's where you go when everybody says, where should we go? It's to contact@dufferinave.com. We want to see you there. Do you want the website too, or just the email, boss? Check out dufferinave.com. It's not the email, but it's the link to the website our friend Royal Anders made, and he's made it so fun for you to attend.
I had a question. Going off of that media stuff and always jumping on those opportunities, do you have tips for people on how they can, I don't know maybe the right words, but like perform for them, and what's the best way to go about doing it?
What I like when I'm listening to someone being interviewed or listening to an interview, I like when there's real stories that are drawn from there. Like most people, it's like, we been working on the album for about however many months or whatever, and it's like these kind of stock things that are not that interesting. It's like, oh great, you were working on it for the last couple of months, oh blah blah blah. But I like hearing, late night when we put this guitar line in, we left this effect on and it was like a doubling effect, and that's what actually gave us our
my mind.
But some story like that I find is interesting rather than just like kind of telling generic stories.
Like the meat and potatoes. Yeah.
Everyone knows that, you got together and you practiced and you wrote some songs and then you put them out and it's coming out on this date. And we want to say that stuff, but have some stories. That's what I like listening
to.
That's good. With that idea, and great question, by the way, Dragon, because how hard is it for a band to keep doing, we always talk about the studio tours, you go and do your radio tour, and every day you're doing 3-4 hits on different radio stations. How do you go about making sure you don't sound stock? How do you not give those stock answers? How do you give the answers that you want to hear?
Again, that's tough, and some of it comes down to the interviewer, too.
Absolutely.
Like, we've had everything from really great interviewers to, I remember one time in Hamilton, we went to the local, college radio, and they knew nothing about metal, knew nothing about our band, and I think they'd read some generic lyrics, and they're like, slings and arrows or something. This seems like a pretty. And Murray's like, that's a Shakespeare quote or whatever. Like,
not ours, bro.
Just like. But then we're like Murray and like them. We're kind of had this bumping head, which was interesting for me.
And I would love to hear that, right? That's very interesting to me. And I know a lot of people when I used to do that and bands would come through, I would always say my biggest goal is to ask you a question you haven't been asked yet on this tour, because you must be so sick of this. I'd always start by asking what leg they're on. Like, how many days we've been going here? Yeah. And then I would gauge from that, and I'd say, okay. And then I'd always I wouldn't ask them what questions they'd want to hear, but I would say, what haven't you been asked yet? What do you want to talk about? Instead of going at it, because if you just keep asking the same stock questions, you're going to get the same stock answers. So like you say, it's on the host to be able to guide that.
That's a good thing, because you don't want to give stock answers, but undeniably, we probably hear a lot of stock questions, right?
How do you make that fresh? Yeah. And I don't know if I ever really did.
Hold on, I got a couple here. How did you come up with the name for this song? How did you come up with the name for the band?
Are you actually?
No, I'm saying these are the questions that drive me crazy when I watch interviews.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, you don't think they've heard that? Like, for instance, the Beaches, who we know and love. The Beaches are amazing. Hi, Margaret. Shout out to the Beaches, crushing. I saw they had some 12 or 13 million listens to their stuff on Spotify or something.
That's
Like they're killing it right now.
Canadian band.
And they came into the studio, and the first thing they said was, "Oh my God, I love your dog," because they're all dog lovers. So they spent the first 10 minutes just hanging out with Maggie on the floor and getting to know each other. They told us about their golden doodles that they had, and we spent a good half the interview was talking about dogs.
Yeah, I find generally not talking about music is almost more interesting
Yeah.
because, again, you're just always talking about music. You're around it 24/7.
That's what it
so
is.
you want to talk about either, oh, we went to this cool breakfast joint, and then, or, talk about puppies
Yeah.
or whatever.
And
stuff like
it
that.
was so cool because they would sort of became Maggie's adopted, moms for the show. It was fantastic. And then one of the biggest things with the Beaches is that they're an all-female group.
Yeah.
So before anything else happened, and off the air, I said, just so you ladies know, around here you're a band. You're not a female band or anything like that, so that won't be coming
Yeah,
up.
I
And just the looks on their face, thank you.
I
Just bring that
really
little bit of
like- I
effort
don't
into
like
that. Yeah.
female-fronted
Right.
metal, or I don't like all
And
female.
they
It's
said-
just they're just a band, and the more that the normalcy of that.
That's it.
happens,
They
the better.
literally changed their whole tone, the whole room changed the second I said that because they were expecting, oh, here we go again. And then it set the tone and the dog, and it was this perfect storm of just getting to know the human beings instead of just talking about the name of the band.
So again, what you did, you made them feel at ease with all these things,
Yeah.
which is nice too. Or again, from the opposite with that Hamilton interview I'm talking about, where it's coming in and they kind of have they're looking down at you, and you feel that.
Yeah.
It makes for a really weird interview because it's kind of like you're butting heads, and it's not
Yeah.
them against us.
It's not a good thing.
A
Not
good repertoire. You can fix some of those things, right? Like
Yep.
some of those questions and whatnot. But yeah, it takes a very good interviewer to make a stock answer sound interesting. It takes
That's
a
it.
great interviewee to take a stock question and make it interesting. Like you're
into
saying,
something.
telling stories about an
Yeah,
event or something,
where
right?
there's something that you can draw from your actual experience that isn't just generic.
Right, because people want to know what's your album called, whatever, when did it make, how did it come to be. Those would be stock questions, but the way you respond is going to be make me think, oh, Matt is like a guy who's really engaging and can tell me
Yeah.
right.
go way deeper into it, right? And I
Exactly.
think that's what makes a good interview,
Yeah.
is
Ultimately, it's all entertainment, right? People are just listening to this interview to be entertained or whatever. So, treat it as such.
That's it.
Make sure that it's. Would you want to listen to this? If you can't sit down and listen to your own interview, there's probably a problem.
And make no mistake, I've felt that way a lot.
I feel like that way all the time.
Yeah.
I'm talking myself
I
here.
was like, we're supposed to rewatch these.
I literally don't because I can't. It's so sad. You'd think you'd be better at it by now with all the times I've created content, and still, just watching, I just judge myself so harshly.
Even
on
yeah,
everything.
even with live music after we record a show or whatever, I'll make it 20 seconds in. I'm like, I just can't do this. I already sat through this once in my life.
I'm not going through this
Yeah.
again. Yeah, so that's definitely another very good thing to think about.
Okay, this one is good.
Here we go.
Okay, I find when you go to a venue, bands kind of have a little bit of a superiority complex where you're taking over the world a bit.
My
You're on the
chest
road
is
or
puffed
whatever. Yeah,
out.
which you need to have some of that to a degree because you need to have confidence.
Confidence
and believe in yourself.
It's very
But
important.
sometimes people will come into a venue, whatever bar it is, and they take it over like it's their own. So the band comes and then they're just setting up their guitars in front of the VLTs and laying out stuff on the pool tables and sitting basically, I don't know, treating it like it's their place. But the reality is this venue, they stream in money from VLTs, from
Oh, yeah.
selling food, from all this stuff, and you're just a part of it. And usually live music is not the main, way that funds are streamed into
Yep.
the business. So I would say just don't take over the venue and think it's yours, because that's one thing I find really obnoxious when you see people setting up stuff over VLTs or taking off over a whole room, and you're like, it's a little rude, presumptuous.
And presumptuous, yeah, that's the word, right? Presumptuous?
Presumptuous. You got it. The third time's
Yeah,
the charm.
being able to walk into a place and immediately think you're the most important person in the room is that's a good life lesson. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
Don't be that person.
Yeah, so that goes for, I guess,
Yeah.
not just bands, but in
Spatial
general.
awareness, know your surroundings. These are simple teachings that you should know by now.
Especially when they use the green room where I try to sleep. That really bugs me because I'm trying to sleep on the couch and all of a sudden they're wondering why I'm in there, and that really like irks me every single time.
Oh, you're there because they always write a dragon on the writer. You're like, okay, and that's how you end up there.
Yeah.
It's the dragon. That's a really good one. I enjoy that one a lot. I imagine, maybe one day we'll get a venue owner in here or a manager and just throw some questions at them. Just to see how the other side looks at all this.
Yeah, it'd be cool to either Ryan from Black Hat or even Jody, like part owner or whatever. It'd be cool.
Important person. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
Decision
awesome.
makers.
I've never heard of that happening before, so it's interesting. Like, or I've never seen it, right? So it's interesting that you bring that up, right?
Yeah. Or like the drummer's setting up all over the whole venue, and it's like the afternoon, and people are eating food, and they're checking their snare and stuff, and it's all really rude. I wouldn't want to be eating a meal and hearing the sound of a snare getting cracked 10,000 times.
Especially if you're there just to enjoy the venue and not there for the band. Like, I get it if it's like nighttime and
it's right
we're going,
before the show and you need to tune up your
not
snare
when
and
you're
go
just
for
getting
it.
there. Yeah, it's
Well, sometimes when I do AV setups and I test the mics in bars and stuff like that, and it's like 3:00 and I'm testing the mic, I feel like an asshole.
Right? See,
But I'm
there
just trying to do my job, and I'm like,
that's your job,
I go on the mic testing, 1, 2, 3. Sorry guys,
so sorry, I have to do this. It's my job.
Yeah. Like the 6 people look over at me and they're
You're
like,
ruining my lunch.
yeah, exactly.
My liver and onions is not as good when you're yelling in the microphone. You ever eat liver and onions? I don't know why I thought of that.
I don't know.
I've never got into
When
it.
we were very young, like I would say probably
Totally random.
3 or 4,
Tell a good story.
we had liver and onions, and I don't know why, if it was cheap or if just like that's what our parents thought we were supposed to
Tell me
eat
you
or
loved it.
whatever. I did not care for it at all.
Oh, no.
It
Who are
tasted
the-
like
have you-
pennies. It
Have you
tastes like
eaten
pennies.
liver
Yeah, it's
before?
like-
You've eaten liver. It's like
Have you ever licked
It's
a
like
penny?
blood. It's irony.
Yeah.
It's like gross.
I wouldn't. I think licking pennies are way more delicious than eating liver, in my opinion.
There it is. Who were the people eating liver and onions?
I don't know. Actually, liver is really good for you. It's great in
Sure
iron.
it is. It's full of blood.
It's great in
So
iron.
is kale.
Yeah.
Like doesn't mean I want to eat it.
Yeah.
And
I
that
love-
is how you derail a chat right
Let's
there.
talk about liver for the next 40 minutes.
Not this one. This
No.
one's hurting right
Yeah,
here.
this one's.
Is that the right
definitely
side?
hurt. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
where's the liver? Dragon, I feel like something he would know.
maybe back here. Is that
Back?
it?
Last kidney.
It's north of the colon.
Okay.
Did you say K?
Okay. I'll buy it. Back to the list. And by the way, this list is a very interesting list about venue etiquette. And we're not saying like etiquette as a whole, but ideas to help make it a better experience for everyone involved, from the top all the way down to the bottom.
And I'll burn through some of these just so we can get to some of the other. We're kind
Absolutely.
of just on the band.
Well, we got tons of time. We still got like 35 minutes, so we're rolling.
Maybe
Hey, this guy's got a lot of
maybe
stuff.
this is a 2-parter with all those notes that you made.
Well, it'd be nice to. They look so good.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So merch tables. You always know there's like say 3 or 4 bands
I
on
love the merch table.
on the show. And often, I don't know if it's a competition thing or what, but you'll get to the venue and say the first band will take up the whole space that could be shared with all 4 bands. They'll put like 30 of their same CD in this slot, and then a bunch of their stickers in this, and basically take up the whole room. And then it's like, that there's 3 other bands that need, and it looks stupid to have like 4 different kind of like markets set up around a venue. You want to have them all together, like a merch day. It just
One spot
it
for
just
all
makes
the merch.
sense to me. So like that's one I think it kind of goes without saying, but it you always kind of have to sing for your supper and fight for it a bit. So like if you're a band and there's 4 bands on the bill, save some space for everyone to put up their merch. When a merch table looks good, you all end up winning. When one of us rises, we all rise.
As you know, I've worked a merch table or two.
And definitely, I feel like that night, you and Pete,
Me and
that's
Pistol.
got to be one of our best. I remember
man.
the next morning because
so
we would always
fun.
like get back to my parents' place, and then the next morning they'd be like, "So how was your show? How much money did you make or whatever?" And this one we just had like stacks of 20s like all over the living room floor, and we're like, "We done good, kid. We done good."
I'll never forget, man. We walked
awesome.
in and we had a bunch of the boys, and the merch table is right there. It was Amigos. right there at Amigos, and you guys were getting ready. You had some stuff to do. I was like, "Don't worry, boys, I got this." And I hopped back. You're like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And I was so drunk.
And it's funny because this is gonna go into one of my don'ts for later
Yeah,
on.
of
But
course,
whatever.
don't let your
Yeah,
friends
yeah.
run your merch table. And so what I did was I kept drinking, and I had no idea where any of the stuff was. So people were asking for specific sizes and this and that, and I was just grabbing stuff and handing it out. And then Pete, my sweet, beautiful Pistol Pete's like, "Man, you're horrible at this. Get out." So he kicks me out, then he takes over,
we
and
had
he's
the-
slinging.
Yeah, we had the
He was
samurai
going.
shirt, and Pete put his hair up in like a samurai. Like it was.
And Pete's a
badass.
very handsome fella, so a lot of ladies there who probably normally wouldn't buy merch were
No,
buying
they
merch
were buying
from
it
Pete.
just to talk to Pete.
Because he looked like a handsome samurai. It was a beautiful thing. I remember that. I wasn't hot enough for the merch table at one point, so I had to go for a walk. And we had a great night selling, which is so much fun. But I will say, as a person who works a merch table, you said it perfectly. If you don't have all of the room allocated for specific things, it can get real crazy, real messy, real quick. You mix up each other's stuff. Like there's so many ways it can go bad.
Yeah, because everyone's got.
Everyone has
the
to be on the
black
same
shirts,
page,
yeah,
exactly.
Everyone's got the Gildan box or
Yeah.
whatever.
So you're always looking to find the right stuff, and it gets hard in there. It's hard in the old merch table.
With this one, we don't really need to go too much on it, but it's one of the things. If you're sharing gear, which
we've talked- this was on your- this was on your
I
commandments.
suggest that you share gear, but prearrange it. I hate the day of where you get a bunch of messages from all the bands. Hey, can we use your cabinet? Can we use it?
Yeah.
That's kind of obnoxious because you're already just trying to focus on the show.
Get in
And
the zone.
now you've got to worry about that. So that's just kind of a one and done. Don't need to worry about that. Okay. This one happens a lot, and I know.
I love how motivated you are, dude. This is the best.
Yeah. With shows, I don't know if it's like a competition thing or whatever, but the opening band, they'll rally their troops, and they all show up and get to the front of the stage, if they're the opening band, and then after, they all leave, and then, the band will, like, even sometimes pack up and leave before the show's even done. To me, that's a real no-no, because it's not helping anyone. You're never going to be asked back as an opener if you do that again. It's not like people say, "Oh, everyone left because that opening band left, so they must be the best." You just seem like assholes.
There's a very, very important lesson there, and this is something I feel like I've been preaching this all day as we did a bunch of recordings earlier. It's been a really good day here at the studio, and over again, the ongoing theme has been, we need to get back to putting others before ourselves. We need to stop being so selfish. And it's so hard to do now because nobody wants to even think about doing it. That's the feeling I get when we all say, do good things, they'll happen to you. Put others before yourself. All these like golden rules, treat people how you want to be treated. It's so simple. But when it's in something like this, guess what? Not only is your band going to suffer, but all of your fans of your band are going to suffer. And everyone involved with you is going to suffer because you get blacklisted because you're a piece of shit.
And now say you want to go out to Winnipeg and play a show, and that band that you were opening
Guess
for
what?
and you left, now they're going to be like, you know what? Sorry.
I
we
believe
can't
there's a
do that
term for
show."
this, to go back to the Trailer Park Boys again, the trucker pipeline. I believe the trucker pipeline speaks pretty loud, and your actions here will definitely be heard at your next stop.
So yeah, it's kind of just
Golden rule.
yeah, just if
Treat
you're-
others how you want to be treated. Wouldn't you want the other bands to have all their fans stay for your show? Wouldn't you want all of that stuff happening to be for good instead of just to be, hey, see you guys later, suck it?
Because it's brand rubbing. You want their fans to, get exposed to your band. and
That's a
vice-
business term. I like that.
Vice versa.
Yeah.
And say. if-
Getting two birds stoned at once.
Yeah. Say they check out your band and they don't like it. Whatever. It's no.
Still New Year's.
Yeah. But often you will end up getting some of their fans and vice versa. So yeah, that's a definite.
When I go like this, that means it's time once again to remind everybody as we are halfway through the Tuesday edition of your show, hanging out with the All Out of Angst podcast, one half. The other half today, filling in for Uncle Mike, is the co-host of The Viewing Room, the Great Dragon. Thank you again for being here. And if anybody wants to be a part of all of this awesomeness, all this fun we continue to have here, if you're watching this right now and you're saying, I want to be a part of that, I want to go in there and help out, I want to make a difference, I want to get my karma up, it's real easy. All you got to do is head on over to DufferinAve.com. My friend Royal Anders created the website, and now he's at Dufferin Ave, the place, not .com, but he made it, and he's here. Royal Anders, I love your website, bud.
It's awesome.
Are you not talking? Are you silent? I said I love your website, buddy. Thank you. That's it. That's all you need. You're not feeding the dog again, are you?
Oh, I watched him give Maggie the biggest
Dude,
treat.
she got so sick last time. Someone's feeding her way too much, you guys.
That's
It's
why I
not
was
good
laughing.
for her.
I was laughing
don't
when he
like
came in because I saw him reach into the treats twice.
If you have any details on how to help a dog puke up all the food that he just got fed by Royal Anders, let us know at contact@dufferinav.com.
Hydrogen peroxide.
Hydrogen peroxide?
Yeah.
That's what you use?
Yeah, my dog
Okay.
ate chocolate.
Still
Got
holding.
on the table. Oh, it's up there.
No, keep going.
He got on the table. He ate a box of enamel bars.
Oh, no.
And we had to give him like some hydrogen peroxide
Doesn't that sting the throat? Or?
Interesting.
to a dog, it just like makes their stomach upset, and they throw it all up, and that's how we saved my dog from dying.
Man, that's
Okay,
amazing.
well, we might have to have some of that stuff on hand. Either
Yeah,
way, if you have any
anyways,
other tips, send them to
Dufferin
contact@dufferinav.com. That's the email where you can send us notes and information to help you
I
out.
wish I could do big air quotes on it.
But
All
if
the
your
way.
dog is poisoned, please don't contact Dufferin Avenue Media Network. Please contact the vet or someone
Yes,
poison
someone
control.
who can help. Yes.
But afterwards,
Very
tell us about
important.
your experience.
She looks like she's,
Yeah.
she looks like
That's
she's
a
going
good-
through
good
something.
segue.
This is great. All right, back to the list as we are hanging out here
I think I'm gonna
and talking.
switch over to the number 2 fans, like
Yep.
do's and don'ts. Just
'Kay.
mix it up or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is one. Okay, I hate it so much, and me and
I
all
couldn't tell.
every one of my bands. We all, so say you're you're planning on going to a show, and the day of you can't get a babysitter or whatever, and you're like, oh, I can't go to the show. I hate when people go on to your event page or whatever, and they're like,
Maybes.
sorry, bro, really wanted to be there tonight, but we can't make it or whatever. You'd be way better off just don't come, don't say anything. But there's 2 things. You read that post as a band member, and you're like, that sucks, they're not coming. And then 2, other people see it, and they're like, well, and it
If
kind of
they're
starts
not
a
going,
snowball
I'm not gonna
effect.
go.
So you're actually doing a disservice to the show by doing that. So
I never thought of that one.
Oh, and
I
it's-
always call that the maybe factor. Hey, when they give the option of yes, no, or maybe,
yeah.
just
Maybe,
muddies
no,
everything
yeah.
up. Maybe's a no, just like a no.
But yeah, just don't say anything.
Yeah.
Nothing is way better than saying something.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people that think they're helping by doing that, by going on and saying, hey, I love you, I wish I could go, but the baby won't go down, can't get a sitter, I'll be there in spirit, all those things. To say that, yes, it's coming from a good spot, but like you said, it brings nothing but negativity to what you're trying
yeah,
to do.
because say we're like, tuning our guitars and getting ready or whatever, and there's that person, but then there's also like 15 other people that had to, so you got just a bombarded with these messages or on the thing where it's like, sorry, can't make it,
Yeah.
make it, and it's just like,
Morale.
yeah, it lowers your morale.
It
I would-
pops the balloon, man.
I would
That's what it
appreciate
does.
that. I would say just less is more.
Yeah, or you know what? If we're good buddies, just text.
Yeah,
Send you a
yeah,
message that's not public, and you're like,
But
okay.
even then, just the next day. Honestly, it's
Don't
better.
take me out of the zone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's smart too. Yeah, like after
Yeah.
the set, you can shoot him a message being like, "Hey, how did tonight go? I couldn't make it."
That's way better.
But that's
just
I
let
agree.
it,
Yeah.
Let it happen, and then because it's a real buzzkill.
I am learning a lot today.
That's
You know,
I
this
wanted to
is
say
really cool.
that's a very good piece of advice. I would never have thought of that. And I think
Absolutely.
that is a very intelligent thing, and I 100% understand
Yeah, because me and
where
my
you're coming
bandmates
from.
always talk about this in whatever band. We're just like, I really wish if you just didn't say it.
Right, you want your headspace to be like, okay, this place is going to be bumping with people who care and whatnot, and when you hear that people who you want to be there aren't going to be there, it's like, dang it's just.
But yeah, like we understand that not everyone can make it there or whatever, but it's just you don't want to hear it while you're trying to get ready.
We're not dealing with that today. That's what you're saying. I don't need that.
Maggie isn't dealing with it either.
See, this is the problem. All right, we're going to jerk the curtain for a second. So Royal Anders shows up with all these treats, and he, for some reason, doesn't think that Maggie's going to keep going back to him for more treats every time he gives her one when she goes to him. So then you hear her whimpering, then you hear him going, Maggie, be quiet. And then you hear the laugh. And it's the cutest thing.
No to that
Exactly.
face, though.
That's the problem. Is it's the cutest
so
thing in the world, and
cute.
we'll never say no. Like she's so happy. Right? Look at her. Look how happy she's got her hand up on him. It's a beautiful thing. No more treats. Okay. Just making sure. She'll be all right. Just keep petting her lots. Back to the list. Do we have more for fans?
Yeah, we got
I
a
like
couple.
these ones.
Let's go a couple more of these. So, okay, I would say this is kind of especially after COVID. Just don't ask to be guest listed. Like,
hey,
yeah,
bro, you're gonna throw me on the list?
yeah, you can do that, but honestly, I'd say the prices aren't that expensive. You know, like often we just do like $10 cover shows, or 15, maybe it's 20 now, but that's still like not that much to ask. And the guest list spots, if you are gonna give them out, are kind of for like, say, a radio host, or say someone's doing a story on the show. It's kind of nice to save them for that.
Yeah.
And ultimately, if every band member, of every band guest list everybody, and
then no one's paying.
yeah, no one pays, and then no one makes any money. The bar doesn't make any. It's just, I don't know.
It's different for every people. Hey, like I think some people say that like the people you should be supporting the most are your friends. So your friends should be paying to come to all of your shows because
that's what I was.
You want them to support you. And then on the other hand too, it's kind of like, oh, my friends are my friends though, and I want them to be able to come. So it's like it goes both ways, right? But I get it.
Yeah, because like, say your first show or whatever, it's nice to have all your friends there or whatever. But once you've played many shows, it's kind of like, if you could maybe give them one free guest list early on or whatever. But in general, if they want to come and support it, you want them to pay for it.
Pretty much every single time I could remember that I was guest listed. One, I never, ever, ever asked to be on any guest list.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I want to support. Like, I'm in that boat where I want to support you. So not only am I going to buy a ticket, I'm going to force buddies to come buy tickets too, and then we're all buying merch.
Totally.
Because that's how you support your band and your friends, and that's how it works.
Like when I went into Uncle Mike's there or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, I can give you a deal." I'm like, I am here. I just want to support your business. Yeah.
And that's that one carries over to like real life, not just through music. Like when you have buddies that do stuff, say a concrete business, like Sonner Concrete Services, the best in the biz, baby. Shout out to SCS. If you are truly supporting them, you say, hey, because the really good friends will always offer, right? They'll always offer. And like you said, no, man, I want to support you. I want to help you, and the best way you can support and help is by paying them. If you want a discount, even better. I'll take a discount all day, but I'm not going to take something for free.
And if you're not using the business or don't need those services, share their post or comment on, like, just something.
Recommend them.
Yes, recommend them something to
There's
draw
so many
attention
ways
to
to do it,
business,
yeah.
because it's so crazy when just everyone does just a little thing, like it takes a village.
That's it.
As a consumer too, I think it should never be expected that like, oh, hey, I'm going to be going to one of Matt's shows, so I can get in there. He knows me, right?
Yeah.
Right. I don't think that should be expected, because then all of a sudden an awkward moment. Oh wait, why is Ethan at the front door asking to be let in? What happened here? Right?
He said I'm on the list, bro.
Right.
Check again.
Like,
And another easy one too. Once everyone's at the show, come to the front of the stage when the band starts playing. Like, again, it's always this weird kind of dance, like similar to one more song at the end. But at the start, everyone stays back and they got their arms crossed, and then you have to wait for whichever front person is like, we want you to come and join us up at the front or whatever. But just like come to the front, because it's all about building the energy, and the closer you are to the fans and the band playing, you push that energy back and forth. And if there's a big space between you guys, it's hard to pass that energy.
I think I can confidently say that if it's any of my buddies' bands, that's the first place. How many times you see me at the front, right beside the biggest amp possible, and me not hearing for 2 days?
Well, totally. And again, these are all things that can be kind of obvious, but at the same point, it happens every show often.
And not only that, when you're up that close, I look up at you and you're giving me the point. You're like, hey, watch this solo. And we're like, together, we're doing this. And I look at Merbs, and Merbs like, yeah, and he's giving me like you're more involved when you're up close.
Remember
you're feeling it.
Time in the last Guildsman at Amigos, and you were up front for it, and there's a part in the song where it kind of stops and there's a little pause, and I said Gary or something like in that pause, and then it totally screwed me up going back into the song. I'm like, that's why I don't try. That's why I don't try and do anything like that.
That's
I'm
why.
not that cool.
That's why fact number 12: don't have Gary at your show.
Don't let Gary work the merch table. Don't. You know what? Just don't invite him, because it'll just go haywire.
Oh, that's
but
awesome.
It's always so much fun. And that goes back to supporting.
Yeah.
Because when you're up close, you're a part of the show too. That's what you have to realize. People feed off of what you're doing. Because now that I'm up there, people see me with you. And if they see me losing my mind because my favorite song's being played. I'm like, you know what? I like this. I'm going to go up there too.
Yeah,
It's like a big sign saying, hey, this is fun. You should try it.
the same way that we kind of wrap off each other when we're doing these shows and stuff, and the energy bounces back and forth or whatever. But you might be up front and you do some sort of weird, and then maybe I'll copy that, to joke or whatever. But then it starts a whole thing, and you can see the interaction happening.
And the music is working. That's the sign that this is a good show. People are feeling this. People are enjoying what I'm doing, and it makes you go more, and it makes you try those things you normally wouldn't try.
Yeah. So there's that.
This is great. Do we have any more for fans?
Okay.
Dude, we're up again. Well, this has gone so fast.
Yeah, are we gonna have to do a part 2?
I think we're going to, dude.
Okay,
So choose wisely.
Okay. Well, this one is important to me, and I know everyone here. Be aware of people experiencing disability.
Ah, there you go.
So one time we were at Alice in Chains. This was at the TCU venue or whatever. But there's kind of like a row that's wheelchair accessible, and then there's people in front of it, but they tend to not put anybody in front of that because people are sitting down. But when we were at Alice in Chains, people kept on trying to cut in because there's no one like in those spots, and then they're standing, and you can see right behind that there's people in wheels. So like throughout the whole, basically once Erin saw this, the rest of the show is just every time she's going up and she, advocating for the,
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's something, just like be aware if someone experiences a disability, do what you can, either, make room for them to go in front of you or whatever.
Understand your surroundings.
Yeah. I think that's a big one.
Yeah, exactly. Know the room. Right? They always say, once you walk in, look around, have some spatial awareness, understand, okay, this is over there, this is that. Now, I understand if you're going to shows, lots of times they're pretty liquored up, and it's tough to remember those things. But if you just sit there and take everything in, you should be able to understand those are open for this reason. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just be more aware. Don't be so all about yourself.
And Canadians are just so polite that I've many times, like, sometimes I'm on stage and there's not really anything you can do about it per se, but you'll see the whole time that someone that's in a wheelchair is kind of just having to look like this the whole time, and it's just like, it's not that hard to just move aside.
Yeah. And again, how often do we talk about spatial awareness, Drake? And my sweet dragon here, he's always this close. You're good with it, but he's always this close to like stepping on something or running into something, and he's always like, yeah, my spatial awareness isn't as good as it should be.
I'll have you know.
Just being aware of those things, right? And just knowing before you walk in.
My coffee table hasn't moved in 16 years, and my pinky toe will tell you that every Friday it feels its wrath.
I pride myself because sometimes I can't sleep and it's like 2 a.m. and I'll like walk out to the living room to watch my Seinfeld or whatever I need to put me back in. But I pride myself in being able to just walk throughout all of our stuff, and I'm like, I know
eyes closed.
Yeah. I know, here's where the bed ends, here's my pile of clothes that's been there for the last month, here's a fan or whatever, and you make it through all the things.
The obstacle course.
And find the remote, and you're just like, oh, I am a freaking badass.
I can't do that at 3 p.m. looking down at my feet. So I would really love to hear how you do this. But
some expert tips.
I guess we have different tips to get to.
You use like things as a railing or whatever to kind of guide you. But I know there's times where Erin will be like kind of half asleep, and I'm making my way back after because I fell asleep, and now I can kind of
tired enough to get back in.
But I'll just be using like the bed, as like a guide, and then like I'll like graze her face or whatever, and she thinks that I'm in bed beside her because she was asleep. So then you just feel like some strangers like touching you. Definitely had a few.
Who's the third person?
Now you're just showing off. Okay, I hate this.
Well, look at me.
Yeah. So you can see in the dark, and you have a partner. Great, thanks. I'll go home now.
Hey, total side note, and this I know the answer to this question, but do we have any updates on the Enchanted date last night?
Thursday.
Oh, it got moved to Thursday.
I moved to Thursday.
So no update yet. We don't know how it went.
I think it's Thursday.
She didn't stand him up because she gave a new date and time.
Yeah. She actually said, "Hey, can we do this Thursday instead?" Yeah. I was like, "Oh, okay." That's that means it's Thursday. Yeah,
you
Thursday
may have somebody
to
run into and scare yourself when you go to bed. think about that. This could be your girl that you have
Okay.
witnessing. What is happening?
All right, let's hear the next tip.
Okay, well, maybe let's go. Should we go into some of the venue ones?
We got
or-
about 10 more minutes. So you can pick and you can choose.
What
And
a
just know
great
we'll get
idea
to
this
the next
was.
one. This
Thank
is
you so
amazing.
much for putting this all together.
Thanks. I just when Gary asks me, I usually
You always have stuff.
just start
that's what I'm talking about.
brainstorming whilst I'm playing guitar or whatever. And again, I like lists. I like being able to draw from actual stories.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And this is perfect, like you said.
He's organized. He can play guitar. I mean, I'm really just the guy at the end of the table. Literally.
I will say the funny part is, normally it's Uncle Mike who you and I are always saying, "Oh, he's such a man. He's so dreamy. He does everything." Now you're getting
I win
some.
by default.
Now you're getting some Uncle Mike love. This is good.
So this is how it feels to be needed.
And shout out to Uncle Mike on the road with our good buddy Colin Gibson, doing some good things and finally, hopefully, getting that van. One more time for this, because I know we had a talk about it yesterday. If you want to be a part of this, you want to advertise, you have an organization, you want to push forward, anything that we can help you with, just send us an email at contact@dufferinave.com.
Three times in one episode.
Triple
That was
threat.
impressive.
Every 15, baby. And if you don't want to email, but you want to check out the greatest website in the history of mankind, it's real easy. Just head on over to Dufferin Ave.com.
Nice.
Royal Landers made it.
You know, the new episode of The Viewing Room came out today?
Prove it.
Okay. Spotify.com.
That's
I don't know
better.
where you get your
Keep going.
podcast.
Yeah.
YouTube. We did Django Unchained. Yeah.
Nice.
It's a bit of a longer episode. It's about an hour and 40. It is.
And that's not even counting the hour that LB had to cut out.
We
because
probably-
there's so
Were
many
you just
apologies.
talking over the whole movie the whole time?
we were almost did like a shot for shot analysis.
That's
No,
pretty sweet.
no.
Oh, that's so funny.
I think it was almost a 2-hour episode, and Adam just cut some stuff out because we were just like going.
There was so many apologies because you guys are 18 and 19 years old, and you're watching a movie that is talking about something that is so at the forefront still, but in a different way with
Well,
all
I
like,
think-
like racism in general. So you guys walked in there being like, "Dang."
It feels less apologies and more like stepping on eggshells in a way, just because we want it to be as respectful as
Yeah, of
possible.
course, that's
to
what I mean.
to a movie that I keep trying to reiterate this, but it's a movie that kind of looks in a more comic book aspect, almost in a way, and comedic
Yeah.
to things that are very serious. And so we wanted to tread lightly and be like, hey, we're talking very positively about this right now, but we want
did
to
a
make
great
sure
job.
that you guys know that, like, hold on a second. It's very easy to get desensitized to some of this stuff when
Yeah.
when that's what
That's
you watch.
what I mean.
right?
It was like a good step as a person who grew up seeing racism everywhere, and to see people that literally are like so far ahead of where a lot of us were back at your age. That's what I mean. There's been progress, and that was the good takeaway on that. I just wanted to put that in there. Django, check it out. New episode of The Viewing Room starring
Hey.
LB and Dragon. That's for you, my friend. One more.
Okay,
We
let's-
got one
Yeah,
more.
These are with the band members within the band itself.
I like this. So
Okay.
this is for the band playing at the
so
venue.
This one, I would say, when you're on tour, and again, this was kind of more earlier in our career, but I think it affects bands that are younger or whatever. So say you like enjoying a cocktail or two, during the show or whatever. Don't be that guy every single day. You're too drunk to drive, so then it's just the one guy has to drive every single day. Because I find that it's really obnoxious. It's like, at least be aware. Say this person might want to have a couple of cocktails that night and don't want to necessarily have to be the driver every night for a month-long tour. So I'd say keep that in mind. That's
Not
a good
only
rule.
that, and I've learned a lot from the One Bad podcast, our friends at One Bad Son. Every Friday, a new episode there. They've talked about numerous times now how grateful they are that they didn't get caught up. And you actually talked about this too. Didn't get caught up in the whole, oh my God, I only got 1 hour of sleep last night. I guess I better amp myself up for the show tonight. And then you start getting into drugs, and then you start getting dependent on the liquor, and this horrible cycle that is so wide open in the music scene.
Yeah, and it just drains your soul.
You have
and
to be aware.
ultimately, you end up getting to a point where you just need this amount of money and substances to get you to a base level where, like, if you just didn't acquire that addiction, you can be
You're
at that
okay.
base level all the time. But
And just by being aware of that, guess what? Now you don't have to worry about who's driving that time because we all understand, hey, you're going to drink tonight, I'm going to drink tonight, you're not going to drink? Okay, good. That's it. And then you just figure it out.
yeah, it's just being equitable.
Yeah.
Don't make the same.
Hold on. Are you telling me with yet again treat others how you want to be treated? Is there a
I
golden
think there's
rule
some,
in here?
There's some themes that are happening.
that
here,
happening?
Yeah.
Wait
God.
just a minute.
This is so crazy to me. I can't imagine why this would be such an important thing.
Okay.
Sorry, I was very facetious there. I apologize.
That's right. Okay, I'll burn through a few of these. So yeah, when you're rehearsing before the tour, know your material, because it's all about, again, building that momentum. And if you show up and you're kind of like, oh, I'll just rely on my talent, I haven't played these songs since the last tour, and then you get there and you're like, I totally forget this part. And then in front of the band, you have to figure it out. So now you're wasting 5 other people's time, and ultimately the energy drops out of the jam. And now instead of like leading up to the show and the tour where you're like feeling like this unstoppable bulldog, just an unstoppable tight band, now it's like, you're like, what's the show is going to be like?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of one, you'd think it's a no-brainer, but sometimes people, once you get to a certain level, you're like, I know the songs, I played them a million times, but it's nice to refresh yourself on the material.
You're looking at a guy who, if you were to change music with talking, is exactly that. The guy, I always rely on the reps. We talk about reps all the time. I always rely on the reps. I know I've been in every situation you can be in, so they say, but there's always something new and this and that. You should always be prepared. But there's a fine line between relying on that talent, and then going right off the other end.
Well, because I'm starting to go through the Into Eternity material, because we've got some shows that I'm not going to announce yet, but they're kind of starting to line up for 2025.
Very exciting.
So I went through last week and kind of did a rough, let's pick a few songs, and some of them I played right through and they were great, and then other ones I was just like, okay, I don't remember this part at all, and then you have to stop, figure out that part, and you're like, oh, that's what I did. Then you play the song, but now I've went through the material a couple times, and it's already night and day from a few days ago.
It's refreshers.
But yeah, it's just simple things
that's what it
doesn't cost any money, and you like playing guitar anyways. You're gonna be noodling the arpeggios, may as well.
Love that. Sweep the arpeggios. As a guy who did a bunch of interviews, and this is why I brought that up, is it never hurts to just go over. It's not even being prepared, just going over before you go in.
Well, exactly, because generally you remember it, but often, say it's like, there's kind of like a base, like within there's like certain hit songs that we always play. So those ones I've played a million times. But then there's times where it's like, we haven't played this one in 10 years, and you're like, oh, I should know it, and then you're like,
I wrote it. Why would I not know it?
But I didn't write any of the Into stuff, so that's stuff that's all like Tim wrote.
Yeah.
So it didn't even come from my brain.
That's something we haven't talked about. How hard is it to play in different bands?
I would say it can be challenging, especially with Into Eternity, because you look at like the first albums have different guitar players, the second one's the third, and so you for my parts, I've got to play like 6 different guitarists, kind of like solos and stuff, and everyone has their own phrasing and their idiosyncrasies and stuff. So yeah, I'd say it can be quite difficult, and also it's like different. If I mess up my songs, that's fine. I wrote them or whatever. But if I'm like messing up stuff that has a legacy, Into Eternity is toured with.
They trusted you. They brought you into this family. You don't want to shame.
They're always like, "Oh, Matt knows his stuff." So I feel like I'm not only letting myself down, but I'm letting the band down. So I'd say that's just the pressure of making sure you're being respectful of their songs.
Does anything ever get mixed up or crisscrossed in how it goes?
Absolutely. Like I would say there's time, and Into Eternity, it's a progressive metal band.
That's the other thing too, is they're all sort of different in their own ways.
Like verse, chorus, bridge, outro, you're done, or whatever. Sometimes it can be like, there's this riff that happens 5 times, and on the third time I have to switch to a 5th harmony, and then on the 5th time I have to switch to an octave harmony. You're just like, and then it may come back in the song later where it just introduces that idea, but then goes into something else. So like,
and if you're not paying attention, it can catch you.
That's why anytime I learn one of these songs, I'll like break down the structure, So
just to make sure. Man, that'd be hard. Could you imagine doing 5 shows?
I couldn't imagine doing a show, so that's incredible.
I was just talking like on here. Like you do one show with the viewing room. Can you imagine doing like 5 and going out and doing them all in one day?
That's my 40th
The
birthday show
man.
was crazy.
That's
Luckily they weren't
unbelievable.
full sets, but there was
it's so
Raven
cool.
Witch set, there's Untimely Demise did some songs.
Propagandy cover.
Into Eternity. We did a Propagandy
Yeah, so
cover.
good.
Ravenwitch did an SNFU
SNFU,
cover.
oh.
We did a Scorpions cover
So
from the
sick.
progressive era.
By the
like-
way, the shirt. Check out the shirt,
I
ladies
love
and
the
gentlemen.
Scorp-
Awesome.
The Scorpions.
It's so good. I love the Scorps, dude. Dude, I think it's time. I'm going to solo this, so you don't even have to get up. You ready? I'm going to get
I
Frankie
like what you
going
said,
here.
by the way, about like not wanting to mess it up. 'Cause I think like actually caring about stuff like that already
That's
puts
right.
you a leg ahead
Well,
of
exactly.
of
Yeah,
anything,
that's just-
right?
But yeah, it's true. You're just I don't want to let people.
It's a very respectable
I'm a
thing.
people pleaser.
Yeah, exactly. Good for you.
We are now playing.
Oh, we're now
Piano
playing.
has begun, ladies and gentlemen. What a day. Margaret, you finally got calmed down a bit, hey? Good girl. We appreciate that.
Matt, you want to do something wild?
Such an incredible day here at the Dufferin Avenue Media Network Content Creation Studios inside the Sotner Concrete Services Clubhouse. To Network Ryan, thank you for stopping by and staining a little bit of wood here or there in between all the shows we did. To the Bamford Bros and all their guests today, thank you for making everything so sweet and oh so easy. To these guys. Watch yourself. Not you, you're okay. On the end, he's gonna hit that TV.
A muscle might be getting pulled out of my arm right now.
Oh no, don't hurt him! To Dragon and to Matt from all the bands. Thank you so much. Dragon, thank you for filling in. Matt, I always appreciate all the time we spend together. It means so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
To Royal Anderson, stopping by. Always a treat. I love you. Great to see you. LB was in here earlier today helping out, so thank you to him. Oh, that was so good. We had so many things, and there's still more. That's the best part. We're going to continue this conversation on the next episode, not just the All At Angst podcast, but as well as the next Tuesday episode of your show. Tomorrow, we'll be checking in with Adrian the Canadian all the way around on the other side of the world. As well, Coach Mays will be here, and so much more. Until then, we've said it a million times, we'll continue to say it. Karma is so unbelievably real. If you do good things, I promise you, they will start happening to you. And once that happens, we are all in for a way better world. So that's something to think of. Anything else you guys want to close on? I'm really loving this, yeah?
Thank you. Have
You're
a
really
great day.
slacking over there.
I am slacking. I carried him. I carried him.
That
That's
was
outside.
you almost
I
tore his
carried him.
shoulder out.
I carried him.
That's fair.
Maybe
All right.
you know when you've got a really good stretch and it's like, oh, that feels good, and then it's like, you know what, I think I'm stretching this too long. That's what's happening.
Either way, it was beautiful. To you guys, great job today, and we will be back tomorrow. Enjoy your Tuesday evening, and thank you for hanging out with us. You're amazing. We love you. Take care. Look at this. I'm doing it solo, baby. Doing it solo.